That's a taser, isn't it?
It can be.
So I got to see the first 5 episodes.
Oh, good.
It's fabulous. How did you arrive at the spirit of the show? Because it feels like it's a traditional spy drama to you, and not like the cartoony way.
It's sort of the content of the show sort of came organically out of the setup. Like, he's a soldier. He can't be a soldier in civil life, so he's setting up a security firm. It's set at the beginning of what will eventually become the England of V for Vendetta. So it's the beginning of a civil war. So that kind of presents its own narrative drive in itself. And then moving DC world from America to England meant a whole other sort of set of changes. It can't be about superheroes because we don't really have superheroes in England. There are no successful superhero franchises that are English, weirdly. Although, you know, Superman is played by an Englishman. If he did it as an Englishman, he'd look ridiculous. So all those sort of parameters start the thing, and then you're just trying to be creative inside that box.
Did DC give you a lot of freedom in character creation, since it's sort of untouched ground in a way?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the attractions for me anyway, is that there was the leeway to explore characters that weren't really well defined, like the Waynes. As you see, if you see more than the first episodes, Martha Wayne is a much bigger character than certainly the pilot would suggest. And being able to do a family drama as opposed to a sort of kick-ass superhero drama was a big attraction for us. And specifically Alfred, he's a very he's sort of an iconic character, but no one really knows his backstory. So the chance to make him a real person and give that character a proper hero's journey, which has a lot of pathos in it, because he wants to be his own man, he wants to be a figure in his own right, and everyone knows where he ends up. That's one of those challenges with all the DC mythology, is you're telling a story that people know the end of. So how do you create movement and interest in that? You have to create an origin story that deepens and creates real emotion out of what is otherwise, in Alfred's case, a kind of shtick, you know. Even Michael Caine was doing a shtick, and what Jack has done is create a really full character.
You mentioned that this is early on that leads into the V for Vendetta world, but is this also tied to Jeff Johns' Batman Year One, where we find out that Alfred was a super spy or British military intelligence?
It ties into, I mean, my starting point was not to mention Michael Caine again, but he insisted that his Alfred would be an ex-member of the SAS, and it follows from that everything that follows. Jeff Johns stuff, I love Jeff Johns stuff. We used to work together very closely on Gotham. But here's the thing, once you get into the real deep comic book world of Batman, there's so many different ways you can play it. The best thing to do is take a little from all of them, you know. Even, dare I say it, the Adam West version, because you have to, when writing these characters, you have to accept that there's a little bit of camp in even the most serious version of Batman. There's a little bit of camp in it, so you can't take it too seriously. And you have to, the beautiful thing about real myths is that there's 100 different versions. There's 100 different versions of, you know, the Greek myths. Same way with Batman and all the characters involved.
What was the inspiration behind creating Paloma's character?
That's a good question. I really wanted to create a great female villain that was not an apologetic villain, that had a sort of female power, and there's a tradition in England of strong northern women that kind of grew up with those sort of women. So it's like turning a traditional English working class attitude into a kind of superpower. And Paloma brings so much natural intensity and humor and angst and depth to the part that really a lot of what you see on screen is just Paloma bringing it, you know. As soon as we saw her do it, we knew that she's the one to play it. For me, she's not, as much as she's a villain, she's the heroine of the piece. Her and Martha are kind of two poles of a kind of female sensibility in the show. That's where she came from.
To see other origin stories potentially intertwining with other familiar antagonists?
Yes, but unlike, for instance, Gotham, where there was a sort of carnival aspect to doing Gotham, where, you know, even at the first episode there was like 5 iconic characters. With this, it's going to be a slow build. You know, people like Lucius Fox will appear later on, but it's important to bring them in organically into what is essentially a family drama, rather than doing the, like I say, the carnivalesque aspect of, you know, putting as many as you can into the show. Yeah. So there will be those Easter eggs, although I never know why they're called Easter eggs, because like, Easter eggs are like horrible chocolate with a cheap plastic toy inside that you're always disappointed in. But yeah, there will be those aspects of it, but they'll be subtle. And to me, the best Easter eggs, if you're going to have an Easter egg, they should be Easter eggs that only the people who care about those Easter eggs notice. And then it's inside information, as opposed to, all right, here's the Riddler's dad and he's wearing question marks.